So to my knowledge, the charges, and this is important, but with Kyle Rittenhouse and the charges surrounding basically the gun charges had been dismissed. Now we're not talking about the other shit that they're going to try him for. I think there's 5 other charges, but as far as the gun charges, those were nonsense, and the prosecution essentially admitted that was just they was trying to throw the book at this motherfucker and give him everything. And it also goes with painting the narrative publicly. This is what the prosecution attempted to do, and this is kind of what happens with our kind of very politicized criminal justice system and the sham that it actually is. Prosecutors are among the biggest pieces of shit in the fucking country. I think people need to understand that, and now they're starting to see that hadn't always. And this is why when you look at the curfew charge, I think that was dismissed too as well. But when you look at this subject matter here, and I know that you hear from the conservatives, for example, they always say don't resist, right? For not all of them, but you get what it is and say any event that you are in error by way of the state. Not saying that you did anything wrong. There can be no victim. It's a fake crime, essentially. It's just the state said it was illegal. Some piece of shit cop send you to jail for or trying to arrest you or something. They always say don't resist, fight it in court. And I just don't think people understand how, and this is somebody that's had my issues within that, and what prosecution is designed to do. They are designed, and what they're attempting to do is to throw the fucking book at anybody, any case that they fucking pick up and win the motherfucker. That's what they're attempting to do. They don't give a damn about your individual liberty. They don't give a damn about your private property rights. They are trying to fuck you over, essentially, is what state prosecution and the people that work for the state, that's what they are attempting to do, and they're bullshit pieces of shit lawyers. So this is why this whole trust in the court system or fight it in court was always a sham of an idea, because people don't seem to know how crooked that it always has been, from district attorneys on really down to the direct prosecution. These guys are, for the most part, been pieces of shit. The closing arguments are happening today, and there was something that I want to show you guys. It's just complete fucking nonsense, but it really, really does show exactly what we are dealing with here in terms of these fucking weirdos and how they deem the right to self-defense as a threat to them. Here's the closing argument. This is a prosecutor, bro. This is the guy working for the state. And there are some things that he's going to say that are just fundamentally incorrect in some of his closing arguments. Let's listen to this right now, and I'll give you my thoughts.
Convince you that Joseph Rosenbaum was going to take that gun and use it on the defendant, because they know you can't claim self-defense against an unarmed man like this. You lose the right to self-defense when you're the one who brought the gun, when you're the one creating the danger, when you're the one provoking other people. The defendant fired 4 shots at Joseph Rosenbaum and caused 5 wounds total. The first shot convinced you.
All right, so let me just say, just so much of what he said was just fucking incorrect in the first place. Not even talking about the recollection of the event. He's basically saying if you have the gun and people know that you have it, you don't have a right to self-defense. What the fuck you get that logic from? That the right to it, to defend yourself, gets fucking dismissed, or it's now void any event that you are armed. What the fuck you think the motherfucker got the gun for? What? So you see what he's saying, that he's saying you're provoking someone essentially by having it. By being armed, you're provoking, you're the one that's creating the danger. And that makes absolutely no sense. So essentially, this guy, you guys should by now know the parts of the case. This should have never made it to court. The fact that, people can reach at folks' guns, attack them, and not get shot the fuck up And people think that that's just, okay, you are creating danger because you carried a gun and someone tried to reach towards you. In some cases, like the homie with the handgun actually had a gun, and and it was actually pointed at your head, and you can't shoot the motherfucker. Now, of course, I'm of the opinion that, you know, considering the one of them was a kit diddler, so he got what he fucking deserved anyway. Nonetheless. But on a serious note, think about that. And this is why I said, and I'm going to end on this note. This is why I said this particular case is much larger than Kyle Rittenhouse. I do get it. There are crackheads, especially blue check marks, who think that this man was a white, because even though it's 3 white guys that got shot, that is some sort of white supremacy is at play because a 17-year-old kid with an AR was, you know, defending himself successfully and very efficiently, might I add. And nothing than that is they've made their mind up. So whatever happens out of this case, it doesn't matter. But when you talk about from a defense standpoint, I ain't even speaking just in terms of legal, just what we consider as legitimate defense. This is an open and shut case. Okay, it should have never made the court. But this is why it's bigger than them, because what they are trying to do and what they are attempting to do is demonize people that do take defense in their own hands. I think the context of what was going on in Wisconsin is very important. The context is this. It was because of what happened in the last summer, when when people decided to lose their goddamn minds, okay, and were burning shit up, rioting, literally. And what some people did, because it wasn't just Kyle Rittenhouse that was in this position, they decided that they were not going to be victims that day. Cops being told all across the country, basically, to stand down and at best protect their property and federal property. But in the event that you and your property, I mean your individual self, because, you know, you own yourself, as well as your buildings, your city, your own community, if you took that protection in your own hand, which the state doesn't like, because what it does is it shows people that they're not necessary, right? Especially in regards to policing. This is why outside of, you know, definitely in these heavily armed, rural areas, you don't hear about problems like that happening. Everybody keeps kind of everybody in check, and we're cordial in that regards as well. But this is much bigger than him, because this is an attack on people that decide to take defense in their own hands. And so, yeah, they'll demonize it. How many times have you heard people, oh, he crossed state lines? Again, just complete. It's funny because that comes often from the guys that don't like to think that borders are, imaginary lines and all of that shit, and free and open immigration and all that shit. And God forbid someone cross state lines, which in this case is driving fucking 3 minutes, is somehow meaning that it's a bad thing, or someone is a criminal because they had a gun at some point, or crossed state lines and then had a gun. But it's an attack on everybody who views the right to self-defense as one of the most prominent property rights that there is to exist. Okay? And any event that, because this is one of the more efficient things that we've seen, and this is a man or youngster at 17 was able to put down the immediate threats that came at him. Okay? One screaming that he was going to kill him and all kinds of shit, dropping N-bombs like it was going out of style, right? Because these guys just want to create some sort of turmoil. And then in the event, and this is what I've always despised about the authoritarian left, because what happens is they get to basically destroy. And then when someone checks them, or you went into getting into it with someone that was prepared to handle your ass, and then you deal with that, they try to treat you like you the criminal. And this is why I say that that's an attack on all of us. It's an attack on the concept of private property rights and the concept of individual liberty. And any event that you Do it efficiently and rightfully. And it shows that you don't need a bunch of guys and badges to be told to defend you, because they don't do that anyway. You can put the shit in your own hands. And people act like that idea is just mind-boggling. Why? Because they can't control it. And it shows less of a dependency upon the people, again, who don't even defend them anyway. Police at best are a response agency. They're at best. At best, they're a response agency. But they're not defending you per se. That's on you. But either way, the fact that they're trying to criminalize someone that took the defense of themselves in their own hands is a problem. Shows prosecution is rotten. And, you hear the bonehead sort of arguments that he's been made, but it also shows the fundamental issue. And this is, I said I was going to end like 4 minutes ago, but let me seriously end on this. Look, guys, this is why I never liked the term criminal justice reform, because it assumes that this approach can be molded into something good. Okay. So the act of, or the perception of dependency is still there and still exists, where a lot of these can be handled, these issues can be handled by private institutions, private individuals, and do it far more efficiently and far more effectively. But right now, and for those of you who act like, they're attacking our Second Amendment, that shit they took a dump on that a long time. I'm talking decades ago, before many of you were even alive. When you look at like the National Firearms Act and all of that, these guys have been shitting on your beloved Second Amendment. They've been done that. Every weapon charge like that happens by people who, from regular Joe Blows to fucking rappers to everybody. What the fuck is a weapons charge? What is a legal possession? What exactly is that? That is a fake law, right? It's completely arbitrary in that sense. There's no victim there, right? You just have possession of it, and a bitch ass cop think you shouldn't have it because there's some law that states that's illegal. It's a fake law, right? If your right to bear arms is absolute, there should be no such thing as illegal possession. That's not a thing. That's not a thing. But I'm just showing that as an example. And the prosecution, historically, they've done this. I know plenty of partners that have caught gun charges, again, for simply being caught with not committing a crime, not actually like they're being a victim, like not a crime that they say, a crime that's an actual crime, meaning that there's a victim per se. Not the state said it's illegal, therefore you can't do it. Not that shit. So this is an attack on all the people that value self-defense and value liberty. But what you see in people that have kept up with this, because it's such a high profile case, you see how prosecutors are pieces of shit. And there are some people that are damned if they do, damned if they don't, by trying to live to fight another day in court, that is in a court system that is already fucked. You just watched a clip from my podcast, For Canon's Sake. Catch us live at 12 p.m. throughout the week over at youtube.com/YoungRipper59 and follow us over at odyssey.com/@YoungRipper59. If you want to watch the entire video cast after the show is over, just be sure to become a member on the YouTube channel. Of course, the full audio portion of the podcast is available for free on all major digital platforms, or just visit forcanonsake.com.